Hi, I'm Bonnie-Lynn Linke, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my studio, Stamping with Bonnie-Lynn. Today we're going to make a fun fold card using the Kindest Gnomes Stamp Set, which is right here, our Gnome Dies, and we'll also be using one of the scallop contour dies to cut out our greeting. And this is an adorable set, as is the designer series paper Storybook Gnomes. It is so cute, and I bet you'd love to see the card. But before that, let me put right here our dimensions. This is all the cuts for your paper. You can go ahead and take a picture of the screen if you'd like to. Also, you will find in the details section underneath the video a link to the exact web page for this card, and on there is where you can print out the instructions, and it gives you all the supplies I used, and it gives you pictures of the inside and everything too. And that's stampingwithbonnielynn.com. All right, now you want to see the card that you saw the measurements. And here we go. This is the card. It is a double gate fold, I believe is what they call it. And I did put a band around it. I have made them without bands. Well, the gate folds without bands. I've never made a double one before. I knew I wanted to. I saw a card that had this extra fold, but I did not open it up, look for instructions or anything. I just figured it out on my own, which is fun to do. I had it pictured in my mind what I wanted, and I accomplished it. So there's our band. I made it so that it slides easily on and off so that the receiver can easily put it away and not tear the card or get it stuck or anything. And then you just open it up. Well, first show you the paper, the Storybook Gnomes. I love this piece of paper with the mountains and the trees and then the snowflakes. And we open it up and it says Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. And I did stamp my gnome here in soft suede ink. We are using Poppy Parade on the card we're making today. And there we go. It is a simple card to make once you know what you're doing. So says the person that wrote the wrong directions on measurements on the paper that I first printed out. Okay, so we need our supplies. And I have this right here. I've already put some of the things together, but I did not score the paper yet because I wanted to do that with you. So I'm going to pull out the arm on our paper trimmer because I'm going to need that for the scoring. Now our first measurement is 1 1/4 inch, and I'm going to make it because I want my fold to come exactly together in the middle. If that doesn't matter to you, then you can be right on the 1/4 inch. But if you want it to come exactly together, I mean, you just need to be, there's a 1/4 inch, and I mean just a hair over, hardly any at all. Make sure you use the score blade on your paper trimmer and not the cutting blade. Not that any of us would ever do anything like that. And then, okay, that was 1 1/4. The next one is 3 3/8, which is right there. So got that. And now at this point, you could do it one of two different ways. You could go pull it out, turn it around, and do the 1 1/4 and the 3 3/8 again from this side, or else you can keep it in there and just slide it down. And because I want to make sure I got the right measurements this time, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so this is 7 5/8. And that gives us a 4 1/4 inch center to the card. Okay, because this is 11 inches long, the next one is 9 3/4, and I'm just gonna go just a tiny hair over that. And score. All right. And that's it for scoring right now. Okay, and now we want the valleys to be on the outside so that we got the strongest fold right here. Not that it probably matters. I think you could go either way. So I burnished it with my bone folder, and then I fold this back over this way. And now I'm going to fold the other one in and burnish it, and then this one, just like so. And there we go. It meets in the middle. And that was, I just went a hair under, a 1/4 inch on each end. There. And that's how it folds. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably round the corners. You could do anything you wanted to do, but I didn't want to round them. Okay, now I call this part right here in the written directions the outside edges. I didn't know what else to call it. So what we're going to do is I've already put my designer series paper on my Night of Navy cardstock. Now, when I cut my designer series paper for this here, I cut a, let's see, what size is this to make sure I get it right, what I tell you. Okay, this is 1 inch by 5 1/4. So I cut a 2-inch piece of paper by 5 1/4, and then I cut right down the middle. Because these meet in the middle, I wanted to make sure that they were side by side so that it looks like they close properly. I should have probably did the same thing for this one too, but I didn't think of it till after I had cut it, and I had actually cut this one first, which made me remember to do this one correctly. So, okay, and I already put my score tape on the our tearing tape on the back. Now what I did is I got it started and I pulled it over just a tiny bit because I want to make sure that I get it positioned properly. I'm going to open that up because we're not talking about much room here, and I'm going to put this right behind it just so I can see the edge better. Oops, and it went away, my little piece of score tape to pull. There we go, so I can just pull that, and that should be pretty even. So I put that down, then I lift this up and just grab the other side. And by putting this underneath it, I was able to see the edge so that I could center it better. So do the same for over here. Just stick that there. Or else I could have put those pieces on first. Okay, and I want to make sure I get this up the right way, which I wouldn't have. So I got, because this here, I can see it goes like that. So this wants to go up like this. And let me get my score tape started on this side. I'm just pulling it like that. And you want to try and match the same height as you got the one over here. So you might want to close that. There we go. You can see what I'm doing. Make sure it's centered. And just pull that. And it will stick that side down, stay in place, and now I can get this piece down. I like to try. It takes an extra minute to do it this way, but I try to get things fairly straight. I don't always succeed. Okay, now I got to decide which ones of these I want on which side. So, you can see the mountains grow good. But on this way, I actually like this way better. I like seeing the trees better. So, and being And it really didn't matter that I didn't cut this from side by side because they're not next to each other. So nobody's going to know. And then I just will pull this off. I'll position this right where I want it. Fold this back to make sure it's even with the edge up above. Okay, put that piece down, then I'm going to pull this side down and make sure that it goes down fairly straight. And now the last two sides will go down at the same time, and they'll go down straight because they can't budge. Put in the trash can. Okay, now we'll get this other side. I'm just going to start this to make it easy. And being this was cut just 1/8 of an inch smaller in height and width, you don't have much of the balmy blue to work with. So it's fairly easy to just get a little bit of your border showing. And I do check that before I tape it down, that I didn't cut my navy blue mats too big, that there would be some balmy blue showing before I matted my designer series paper. And also before I matted the designer series paper, I made sure that there was enough of the Night of Navy showing before I adhered the designer series paper to it. All right, it's just that easy. See that? And now for the inside, I've already stamped it with the saying from the Kindest Gnomes Stamp Set. It's right here. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And the warm wishes we're using on the front. And this is the one I put on the inside. And this is the little girl I am cutting out of the designer series paper for my band. So I already adhered that to the Night of Navy. Now I got my score tape on the back, tear and tape score tape. And I'm just going to center this on here. And try to hold it firmly in place with my fingers. Lift up this edge. And pull it off. Still holding the paper down. I put down this one side here. And then the last two. You can glue. I don't like working with glue. And that being said, we're going to now work with glue. Okay, this is all done. Oh, the back. I want to stamp, take my limited edition stamp set, and I am going to stamp that it was the limited edition. I'll use the limited edition. If I knew who it was going to for sure, I would have probably used the Made with Love. And as you'll see on the back of this one, I have one that says handcrafted by Bonnie. And then I have a Stampin' Up right there. I'm actually getting the two stamps combined so that it will say handcrafted by Bonnie-Lynn and have the Stampin' Up right on it so that I don't have to stamp two different stamps. Now you could use Balmy Blue. It wouldn't show as much, but I thought I'd be bold today and use the Night of Navy. And there we go. And I like the limited edition stamp set. It just makes a person feel a little bit special that you would do this for them, and that way they know it's handmade. And you could also just sign your name right down at the bottom if you want it to. So I'm going to set that out of the way. And now we're going to make the band. The band is, the Night of Navy is 1 inch by 11 inches. And my piece of designer series paper for it is 7/8 by 11 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue, some liquid glue. Oops, this is a brand new one, so I hadn't even taken the paper off of it yet. And we're just going to, we don't want to put on too much, but we want it around the edges. You can tell I don't use glue very often. I'm not very good at getting it out. And this silicone mat is wonderful because it nothing sticks to it and it washes up easy. I use a magic eraser on it. Okay, now I'm just gonna center this in the middle, so I got a little bit of blue showing on either side, and this goes down to each end. And 11 inches is, I could have probably made this 10 inches. It would have been tight, but I could have made it 10. But with the 11 inches, I can cut to make them, to cut off if they're not straight. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And this end is not on there evenly. Okay, there we go. That's good enough. Oh, whoops, I got glue on my desk. Huh. That means the magic eraser will come out and get the glue off my desk too. I'm going to get this a moment to dry before I score it. Okay, when I cut this little gal out of a piece of designer series paper. The dies will fit around different things. So these dies here will fit around the gnomes in the designer series paper, and the toadstool, their little home, you can also cut out with a die. And that's very nice. I like that. I like that Stampin' Up! Does that with some of their designer series paper. They did it with the, I believe it's the Hues of Happiness designer series paper. That's the real pretty one with all the different color roses on it, which is, I got some here. This paper right here. Yes, it is the Hues of Happiness. Not that piece. You can't cut up without the dies, but like some of these you can. And also if you go to these roses right here, you can cut those out with dies, and you can also cut out some of the greenery. And that's really nice. And that's a good reason to get extra designer series paper when you can do something like that. And I like the back side of the designer series paper on these too. But because I'm putting this on the band and it's not cardstock heavy, and I want to be careful it doesn't rip, I cut out one in a piece of white cardstock. It's just scratch. You could probably use a color if you wanted to also, because you don't see it from the front. I'm putting some glue on here. This is one time when I think using glue is a good idea. Oh, I'm not very good at handling it. And then you just match this up. It fits it perfectly, being they were both cut out with the same die. Now, I will see people that put cardstock on the back, like on that Hues of Happiness paper, if you're going to cut out the roses, that they go ahead and put a full sheet of cardstock on the back of the designer series paper to reinforce them before they even cut them out. And you could do that too, but being I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to cut out and how many of them I might use a full sheet, I'll probably cut them all out, but I just thought of that right now. And our white cardstock does come in 12 by 12 pieces, so that would work. Okay, So I have my band right here, and I want to score it at 3 inches, and I want the valley to be on this side of it. Now see, I could go ahead and cut off these ends just to make sure they're even. So take off a little bit because I got paper hanging over, and on this end I got a little bit of the night of navy showing. So just so that they look consistent in my card when I put it together. So now I will do this at 3 inches. And let me see if I wrote down the other. Okay, and I think we want to score this. Yes, we want to score this one at 7 3/8. And if you want your band tighter than what I made it, maybe go a smidge under the 7 3/8. But I'm sticking with my 7 3/8, which is right there. And score it right there. Now, you don't even have to score it if you don't want to. I find it easier for me if I score it first, because what you could do, let me get that out of the way. You could have just put it under here and you could have just folded it. But I find that if I fold it, now it's better. Okay. Now you can glue this if you want to. As you see, I'm messy with glue. Now you know why I don't use glue. So I am going to take my tear and tape. And tear and tape is stronger than the stamping seal unless you use this plus. You could use that. I'm going to put a piece on that end right there. And I'm going to put this back down here. And I'm going to figure out how far down this goes. This goes to about right here. So I'm going to put a piece, and I'm putting it on the designer series paper. And I'm running it pretty much all the way to the end, because the piece I put on the opposite side underneath here is going to close it tight right up there. So take that off. And now I'm just going to fold that over, and I want to make sure I get it lined up. So there we go. All right. And then what I did is I stamped the warm wishes on a piece of white cardstock. It's the size of this is 1.5 by 3 inches. And then I cut it out with the scallop contour dies, this one right here. And when I placed it on there, I purposely placed it so that the warm was over to this side and just down a little bit, because I'm going to put some gems underneath it, and they're a little bit larger, so I wanted to make sure there was room. And you want to try and get your wording straight. Sometimes that's hard to do. And I didn't stamp it real good the first time, so I just turned it over before I had cut it. That's why I stamp before I cut. Okay, so now I want to take this, and I'm going to put a couple pieces of tape right in the middle here. Take that off. Now you could use dimensionals if you wanted to. I don't want to. So now I need to see where to where to place this, because I'm going to have this on here too. So that's will be about the middle with her on there. So go on and put that down. Okay, whoops. Now I did not get that straight at all. So this is undo. It takes off stickers, tape, and label remover. I can just get a little bit of this under here. It is a solvent. It is wet, but it will dry. So I'm just going to turn that and just hold that down there for, it will take it about 30 seconds or so to dry. Oh dear. Let's see. So I'm going to figure out, so we'll give that a moment to dry. I put too much on, but it just evaporates and you never know the difference. In this way, because I have the holes in the die, so I should have been able to get it on straight, but I just wasn't paying much attention. So, okay, there it is. Now and this side will stick down in a minute. So I can either set her up high like this, or I can put her down. I think I want her to sit up like this. And I'm looking at that so I know where to put glue dots. You can glue it on, but I choose not to. I put one under her hand. Oh dear. This hand is the one I wanted under. Okay, I'm putting one under her hand. And then I'm just going to put a couple right on there. Do you ever have days where things don't go quite as you had planned for them to go? My glue dots aren't sticking. And that's not normal. Okay, forget that glue dot. Okay. Just put it on here instead. Okay, so I'm going to put this so it's just kind of like that. Perfect. And then I'm going to take, I can't believe I had so much trouble with the glue dots. Okay, these are the Fine Sparkle Adhesive Back Gems. And I'm going to take one of these right here. I think I'll take one of these. You know, I'm going to redo that. I'm going to take that. See if I can get this up. Yep, I want that one in the middle. And I want another one of those. And there's also, this is Pool Party, Balmy Blue, Pill Papaya, and Royal Poppy Parade. And there we go. Isn't that cool? I love it. Oh, and let's put this on the back of our envelope. So bring out my silicone mat again. Now, if you visit my website, I do have a customer's reward program where with every $25 you spend on an order with me and you use my host code, you get a rewards point. And after you get 10 rewards points, you get a $25 credit for me next time you buy from Stampin' Up. You have to buy it through me. And it is kind of like a gift certificate. You can use it yourself or you can give it to a friend. And you can use it on whatever Stampin' Up merchandise you want to. If you'd like to become a Stampin' Up demonstrator, even a hobbyist demonstrator, and join my team, I would love to have that. There we go. And now I'm just going to take my paper snips and just cut it like so. Cut this side too. Now, if you get your paper too long, you can also cut it with your paper snips to even it off, or you could take your trimmer and trim it off if you're not a very even cutter. But either way, it will look perfect. There you go. Isn't that pretty? Oh, who wouldn't love this? I don't know who wouldn't love receiving this card either. It's a Christmas card, birthday card, thinking of you. It is so pretty and it's easy to make. And I thank you for joining me this afternoon today whenever you're watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on my YouTube page. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.